Okay, so we'll begin this morning. So again, welcome and thank you for joining us this morning for the third in the series of the Power of Applied Intelligence webinar series, exploring the uses of artificial intelligence in business. My name is Paul Hearns, I'm your moderator this morning, and we are joined this morning. I will share my screen for the agenda this morning. So hopefully everyone can see that. We're going to start off this morning with Amelia Kelly, who is Vice President of Speech and Technology at Soapbox Labs. And Amelia is going to give us the business perspective for AI organizations. So Amelia is Vice President of Speech and Technology with Soapbox Labs, and she holds a BSc in Physics and Astronomy from NUI Galway, an MPhil and PhD in Linguistics and Speech Technology from Trinity College, and she has 13 years experience in speech signal processing. So she currently specializes in the recognition of children's voices, and natural language processing, and machine learning and artificial intelligence are obviously key technologies in those areas. So then we're going to have Dr. Hesham of Ernst & Young Ireland. So Hesham heads the artificial intelligence initiatives at the firm, and his work involves redefining the future of energy and life sciences market sectors with applied AI technologies. He leads a team of top professionals in cognitive content, media, and Internet of Things, and he helps position EY as a market leader in digital transformation. So then we're going to have John Durkin from Enterprise Ireland, and John is going to give us insights on the Irish marketplace. So John is Senior Digital Transformation Specialist at Enterprise Ireland, and he's currently working as part of a new team with Enterprise Ireland, which is focused on supporting Irish business on their digital transformation journey. He has a background in data analytics, machine learning, AI, and cybersecurity, and he's recently worked on the National AI Strategy and the National AI Skills Review. So very well placed in terms of helping businesses along their AI road. So after John, then we're going to have an open discussion, which is going to be joined by Anthony McCauley. And Anthony is Artificial Intelligence Program Manager with Technology Ireland ICT SkillNet, and he is the creator of this webinar series. So thanks, Anthony, there. So I'm just going to stop my screen share and we will move directly to our topic this morning. So just a reminder that these sessions are recorded as is this morning, and that allows us to present them back to anybody who might miss them or wants to reference them through the ICT SkillNet YouTube channel. So you can see that on the ICT SkillNet web page. So just in terms of our topic this morning, as I said, this is the third in a series, and the series is based around the fact that a European Union survey gauging the use of technologies based on AI found that near universal awareness, which is great, also found that there were low levels of adoption, and projects that had led to real impact were even lower again. And some organizations suffer from what the analyst McKinsey refers to as pilot purgatory, where proof of concepts never reach production. So this webinar series is designed to provide a no-nonsense, practical and pragmatic guide to business leaders to improve the understanding of artificial intelligence, demonstrate market growth and where it exists, and where investment is taking place, and sectors of interest where the applications are delivering bottom line investment. So the idea of these 1-hour sessions is to provide as much information as possible for organizations embarking on AI technology projects to both start, develop, and then scale from there. So moving back then, we're going to have Amelia Kelly of Soapbox Labs first. So Amelia, if you would like to join us.
Hi, how's it going, Paul?
Good morning and welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. So Amelia is going to give us that business view based on her experience directly in the market and what's happening at Soapbox Labs. And obviously natural language processing is a huge area and possibly one of the more familiar ones for most people. So Amelia, please take the stage.
Sure. Thanks very much, Paul. And thanks to yourself and Anthony for having me here this morning. I'm delighted to be here to tell you a little bit about my experience at Soapbox Labs. So as Paul said, my name is Amelia Kelly. I'm the VP of Speech Technology. I have been with Soapbox since 2015. Since then, the company has grown from a startup of 3 people to more than 35 or 36 people, with a tech team of almost 20. So during the last 7 years or so, we've made the journey from building very deep tech AI technology to productizing it, going through that product purgatory or prototype purgatory, whatever Paul called it there. It was very good. But I know it very, very well, because crucially, we had to bring our customers along that journey as well and let them see how they could transform their products by including AI technology. So I suppose my story is about transforming your business to be AI ready, but from the point of view of the AI creators and how we can help, and how we have helped our customers to be AI ready so that they could adopt our technology into their products and platforms and make it beneficial for them and their users. So I'm just going to share a few slides with you here. If I can find them, and I can, hooray. So just a little bit about Soapbox ourselves. We are a speech recognition company and we specialize in children's speech. So this was quite novel when it began. Nobody else was doing it. Now people are beginning to notice that their Siris, their Alexas, they're not really working very well for child speech. And what they're also seeing is just the experience that they can get from or give their clients from actually including speech recognition that recognizes kids' speech in their products. So what we aim to do is deliver joyful, natural experiences to kids, giving them agency to use their voices to learn and play in the education sectors and in the gaming and toy sectors. So our speech recognition technology is built from the ground up for kids. We have reimagined every step in the process of building speech technology, gathering, processing voice data, making the models, etc. And we partner with education and entertainment companies, and they use our voice technology to make kids' entertainment and education experiences more fun and more immersive. So we've been developing this technology for 7 or 8 years. We're laser focused on kids aged 2 to 12, and we've many, many years of accumulated speech recognition experience, etc. So here are some of the technologies that we've built out, and some of these might be familiar to anybody who has been reading about AI or uses them themselves. So anything like wake word, when you say, hey, Alexa, or anything like that. We can make personalized ones that work on device. We can do voice search and voice activity detection. A lot of children might be pre-literate. They haven't learned how to read or use a keyboard yet. So it's very important that we can understand when kids are speaking. So we create all this underlying technology. We also do straight up transcription, but also we do analysis of audio files beyond just the transcription of the audio, because generally in the world of kids, they're doing something other than just speaking aloud and wanting the transcription to be made. What they want to do and what the situations they're normally in are very noisy environments, and they're usually, for example, reading something. So our technology will be incorporated into the oral reading fluency platforms of very large educational publishers, for example. So the benefit we can give them and their users, who are mainly teachers in the main, and obviously the students using the technology, is that children are then able to practice reading, for example, on a digital device. And using our technology, they can get feedback to them and to the teachers or educators on not only how well they read, but any kind of pauses or hesitations they made. They can get an overall score of how well they read, how fluently they read. And these data points can be collected longitudinally so that a teacher can get a good idea of the details of the child's literacy journey. So I can just give you a few to 20-second videos here, I think, of some of the products that our clients make. So what we make is a technology that plugs into the background, and our clients make the following types of immersive experiences for kids.
Miss Audrey Tuft was in the middle of creating her famous zucchini melody. "What's this commotion?" she asked. Martin waved the ragged poster at her. "Circus tonight, Mom," Martin gasped. "It's the only night. The only night. We have to go."
So that was the oral reading fluency example, but it can also be used in something like practicing your times tables.
Ready to multiply? 1 times 4.
4.
2 times 3.
6.
5 times 2.
10.
4 times 4.
17. 8 plus 8. 16. Yes, I beat the clock.
And finally, practicing vocabulary.
Let's learn some new vocabulary words. Can you say the word nocturnal?
Nocturnal.
Try that word again.
Nocturnal. Yes. Bats sleep during the day because they're nocturnal.
So I just wanted to show you a few of those use cases so you could get a feel for the types of technology we built and how they can then be brought into products. So I suppose the value of this really, and the point I'm trying to make is that for 8 years, we were building out this core technology, and then we were in the POC prototype stage. And what we found then was this big gulf where we had to get the people we were selling to understand the unique value of what we could actually bring to their products and services and platforms. So you can see there from the examples that, like, for children, like the benefits are immediate. You have real-time feedback loops where they can actually be heard to practice, practicing reading, practicing math, anything that they can interact with using their voice. They can do this more often. I mean, anybody who's learned a language or learns a musical instrument knows that you just need to play, you need to go and do it. It's a practice, it's a live performance kind of situation. And that's the same with literacy. So adding this method of giving children real-time feedback is so beneficial for these children and for the teachers as well, to be able to actually just keep an eye on the kids as they practice, and they can intervene then when it's necessary and appropriate at a much earlier stage than they could if they were resigned to the old way without voice, where you had to sit with every individual child for every single time they practice in order to actually learn anything about it. And then you'd have absolutely no longitudinal information that you could track back and gain insights from. For school districts, you get the seamless integration with the digital reading records. So this these data points can be stored, and they can be you can get statistics on them. And for edtech companies, you get insights into the efficacy of the individual projects and products and features, which is a real bonus for any kind of learning paths or personalized learning that people want to do. So really the challenge for us has been to try and educate these companies in all the possibilities that something like AI, in this particular case, voice data, can bring them. And that in itself is, it's a long process, but I think it's one that's getting easier. So that's really all I have to say. I won't take up too much of your time. I know I'm going a bit over time here, but I just wanted to give you an insight into my own particular experience with building AI, trying to sell it to people, trying to bring people along in that journey. But the real challenge, I think, has been to try and educate the market into what benefits they can bring not only to their products, but once they level up, everybody else levels up. And personally, I think that the benefits of this go far beyond what the company themselves can bring, but it can go into the fabric of society, like, for example, to help solve the literacy crisis. If more children can practice and use technology like speech technology and other forms of AI, then we can really level up as a society. So that's why I think this work is so important. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have at the end. And thank you for having me, Paul and Anthony, again.
Thank you very much, Amelia. That's a great introduction. And I think certainly natural language processing is one of those areas that's kind of the gateway almost to the potential of AI. It reaches so many areas. But I think as well, your insight there in terms of your own company's journey, as well as the experience of bringing your client companies into the readiness level to use your technology is a unique perspective, really, and something we'll explore there. So just a reminder to the audience that the Q&A function is there. Please do input your questions as we go, and we will address them in the open discussion area. But we also have a chat function there. So if you want to share anything with the rest of the audience or with the speakers this morning, so if you have a comment or an insight or a resource you wish to share, please do use the chat. The raise hand function is there too, if somebody wants to come on mic or on camera or both and address something directly during the open discussion, then our producer Sarah will do that as well. We do have a couple of polls this morning which we're going to run as well, and we'll notify you of those as we go. So moving along, thank you very much, Amelia. So next we have Dr. Hesham Shokri, who is Head of AI Engineering with EY Ireland. Hesham, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Paul, Sarah and Anthony for having me today. Good morning, everyone. I am Hesham Shokri. I am from Ernst & Young firm here in Ireland. And I believe the most powerful business case and application of AI is performance. And I'm going to demonstrate this to you during the next 10 minutes. I come originally from Egypt, where there's loads of inefficiencies and bad outcomes. That's what I call. And I have a personal event in my life there. Back in 2011, I participated in the Egyptian revolution then. And it was really, it's a one event in a century. It was very, very powerful and also very impactful to my own personal pursuits after 2011. So I came to Ireland back in 2008, looking for a PhD and a new life. And I've done my PhD in University of Limerick, and at the time, people were talking about AI as next frontiers, but there wasn't really the tools and there wasn't a motivation to do anything around artificial intelligence at the time. But I've done my PhD around the topic, and after that I went back to industry trying to find an application for my PhD and practice software engineering. Really, what our purpose in EY is to try to improve business performance, everyday work life, the 9 to 5 time that we have to spend every day. And it doesn't have to be very difficult. And that's why we focus on how we can improve and looking for opportunities to slash the inefficiencies and the bad outcomes, be it a product in a factory or be it in a treatment plan for a patient. It doesn't have to be bad. It could be more efficient and it could be more important. Let me help share screen here. That's okay. All right. Hopefully you can all see it. So the pandemic has stolen from us lots of time, and it's also stolen lots of education track from our children's careers and aspirations. And what we really need to look at is something unprecedented, something non-traditional. And I believe there isn't a better time to think about your business's strategy and think about how you can recover the couple of years, and we're counting that have been stolen from us. And that's why my interest here is really to share as much as I can, and I can call myself as on a mission to try to tackle illiteracy of AI across all the stack of the technology and across different departments in every organization. And it is really important to realize that you would really know that you are applying and you're really harvesting the power of AI if you have that diversity, if everyone in the organization understand the concept, understand the value at different levels. My journey in my own career journey actually aligns a little bit with what happened previously in the field, and it's been exponentially advanced. Look, from 2014 to now, it's lots of things happened, and every year we find a new discovery in the field. Some people call AI as electricity, and it is really changing many different sectors and affecting market sectors. So really credits goes to IBM when they motivated the artificial intelligence and generally the intelligence back in 2014. And a couple of years later, many other organizations like Google focused on developers, and instead of having to look at hundreds of libraries around the internet to create a POC or to develop application, they introduced a TensorFlow, and it was really a milestone to help developers to quickly create a POC, show the value of what the intelligence could do, and move it to an enterprise application. And then it's been productionized by AWS, Amazon Web Services, when they actually provided this as a service in their clouds, and Microsoft took the real journey of trying to market that and make it simple and provide it to end users in a more affordable way, if I may say. Before the pandemic, I believe everyone could have realized that AI is embedded in our lives, in every day, in most of the applications that you use on your mobile. Whenever you call, like for example, Alexa or Google Assistant, or whenever you try to kind of share some photographs, you could see probably behind the scenes how that has started to be more intelligent. And I believe the way ahead for all businesses to realize is AI first is a strategy for recovery. It is important that we really quickly recover in untraditional way in order to be able to kind of recover the past 2 years, and hopefully not counting that more. Just looking at like a bird eye of what AI is. AI is not one thing. It's a number of technologies and concepts. They are brought together, and they can then help provide a powerful use case. And I said that the business case is the performance. So thinking about the performance of your organization, developing at the business level, at the board level, what really could be important to me, what is important to my customers, what's holding me back, and then look for help in AI. I wouldn't start thinking about the technology, and I would always think about what is my business case, what is the performance, how performance can help me. So just looking at this diagram, it has many things. It shows the different technologies involved in AI. The central piece and the basic one is the machine learning and deep learning. So it really, AI technology is machine learning and deep learning, and a number of other things that they really haven't taken off. But the ML and DL is what's really common and what can really apply at different domains. And the domains, I call them the NLP, natural language processing, the computer vision, and virtual agents. These are other domains that used to be separate. So these circles used to be outside the machine learning and deep learning, which is AI space. But now they are leveraging the power of ML and DL in order to make the computer vision more intelligent. So the size of these circles just indicate here the market size and the market size basically of applying this tech. So most of the projects that we apply are generic projects that use ML and DL. Computer vision is the second largest one. So people apply computer vision, and the overlap between computer vision and machine learning and deep learning is really providing a powerful use case. Like, for example, face detection. You could do face detection or face recognition using pure computer vision without AI, but applying AI there makes the job much more simpler and much more powerful. I'm going to show a couple of demos that we really apply here. It's Irish made, but it's applied in America. So I will start with the first demo.
Hello, this is the credit fraud department. How can I help you?
Sorry. I'll just give an overview about that use case. It's the call center analytics. So I'll come back to my point. I'm a call center analytics director. I have a number of agents, and the churn is happening. And as we know, the biggest problem in call center analytics is the churn. It happens among agents. And I want to improve my call center performance. I want to recover the past 2 years, and I want to look for technologists to help me that. And here's what happened. In one of the banks that is really they have had a problem with people are leaving their mortgages and switching to other banks, and they wanted to know what is the problem. And when they started, they wanted to look at what they have in terms of data. They found they have thousands of audio files that requires thousands and thousands of hours of people sitting down, listening to them, and trying to figure out what was the problem, why customers are leaving. And they turned to look at AI. And the first thing, when you look at this, we thought, well, we can, instead of doing this, we can, first of all, transcribe all the audio files that you've got. And this can happen overnight if we have a very powerful computer, or maybe over a week. So thousands of audio files, it could be transcribed into text, and then we take it to Amelia's area. We then take it to where NLP can help. So that's what happened. We demonstrated. So I'll show you, I'll just get you to listen to one of the key things that you, like an example. This is, I'll just play it first.
This is the credit fraud department. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm very upset. This is the third time I've had to call back, and I'm not happy.
Okay, that's too bad. What's your problem?
The problem is that I can't get through to anyone to help me. Why is my application for a new credit card being rejected? I don't understand, and I'm sick and tired of having to call and wait.
Well, you reached the wrong department, and I can't help you there. I will transfer you.
No, don't you dare do that. I will not be.
Let's stop here in the interest of time. But really, you probably would know there are plenty of these bad calls that we get in the call center. And the idea here is how we can recognize these calls instead of having someone to sit down and listen and classify these calls, and then figure out from the call, we have good calls and have bad calls, what our customers are looking at and why are switching off from our business or our services to other services, to other banks or other providers. And here is the use case for performance. This, instead of being done in months or probably a year, in order to listen, in order to have an army probably of agents listening to all of that, this can be transcribed using NLP to extract some of the information there. So here, some of the initial POC we have done, and we can try to highlight the words that agents need to look at. We classified how much of the calls, how many of the calls were good calls, and how many are bad, and how many are neutral. And that helped the organization to quickly snap on what are the calls that really we need an agent to sit down and listen to them, because these calls, the AI indicated there is a problem there, or maybe going forward and look at the semantics of the call, why people are switching. There's one more demo, but I think I've gone over time. I don't think anyone in the team here realizes less the importance and the powerful application of AI. What I'm asking is, look at two things. Look at the strategy. Start with the with your business case rather than starting with the use case. Sorry, going from there, translate to the use cases. And the second thing is the culture is very important. We engineers look for engineering excellence. We need to be motivated that we are doing something with a purpose. So laying this over to your engineers with a purpose is very important. People will find ways to solve the problems if they are really having a purpose to solve it. I'm passionate about healthcare, and I do plenty of applications of AI in healthcare. But at the end of the day, without having the right technology, without having the right strategy, and without having the right culture, I don't think we will be able to advance. But I believe most of the businesses are working on a purpose, and the important thing is to kind of align those three together, going beyond the POC. Thank you. And sorry for going over time.
That's okay, Hesham. Thank you very much. And again, it's showing the real value in terms of a force multiplier there. Instead of replacing people, it's more the fact of increasing people's effectiveness to deal with people, which is really a key value of the technology. But thank you very much for that. So just before we move on to our next slot, I'm just going to ask our producer Sarah to run our first poll. So Hesham, if you could stop your screen share, we'll move on and to the poll. Thank you very much. Just as people are looking at the poll there as well, I see that there are questions coming in on the Q&A, so thank you very much for that. We're going to get to those in the open discussion section. But I'd just like to reintroduce John Durkin, Senior Digital Transformation Specialist with Enterprise Ireland. And John is currently working with a new team within Enterprise Ireland, which is focusing on digital transformation for organizations. And obviously, analytics, machine learning, and AI are key elements of those. So John, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. So this section is just conversational, no slides here. So we're just going to talk a little bit about what John does in the market here and how he helps organizations. So first of all, John, just a little bit of background in terms of what you're currently doing, and just the kind of cases and encounters that you're having at the moment.
Good morning, Paul, and good morning, everyone, and thank you both for Anthony and yourself for having me here this morning. So one of the things, I guess, with the new focus that we're looking at within Enterprise Ireland is I suppose the adoption of digital transformation within a business and how that can really transform it. I think we've got some really good examples we saw from Hesham and from Amelia about the potentials that are there within it. And we would see machine learning and AI as definitely tools that enable a business to scale quite rapidly when used in the correct way. And there's probably two cohorts of companies who we think about, and particularly if we look at the AI piece or digital transformation. There's the companies who develop the AI, like Soapbox there, as Amelia talked about, and then also there's the ones who implement it. And I really like the example there with Soapbox Lab, how it shows, you have the deep tech, and then other businesses don't need to have that deep tech to develop it, but they can leverage it and use it. And I suppose from the vast perspective of Enterprise Ireland's clients, it'll be those ones who will be implementing AI. So that's something that we're really interested in exploring, is about how AI can be a fit within a business to aid it and accelerate its digital transformation. So that's one of the key focuses we're going to be looking at in 2022.
Okay. And in terms of the market in general, obviously we hear that there's quite a bit of activity in and around the technology, and we're exposed to it a lot in terms of the examples we've seen, the virtual agents, and again, the now practically supercomputer in your pocket. But maybe in terms of the market in general, what are the other kinds of use cases that you're seeing, and where are the other areas of activity that people might not be aware of?
Yeah, I suppose like you said, the big buzzwords are often there, but what we've seen now is some really nice examples where we've got kind of conversions of technology. So there's a company called VRAI. They do a lot around VR for training materials, okay? And particularly their focus is on dangerous environments, and so that rather than you being in there, you do a virtual experience of it. But what's very clever is that they've embedded AI into the headsets that they're looking at there, and they're leveraging that then, and they're monitoring, people's reactions as they go along. Did they see it? Did they notice it? What was picking up? Are some people noticing more than others? And they're able then to run a suite then of AI analytics on that to give really good insights into how well the training is using, how well the people are using it. Is there demographic differences? Is there subtle differences that are there? So that's really clever piece of where you're leveraging AI onto an existing piece with the AR VR, and you're giving it an enhanced service that comes out of that. So I think that's really clever. The other one then we've seen, which is a company, and it kind of relates to Hesham's example there earlier on, is around the call center, a company called EdgeTier. And what they've started looking at doing is very much about the call center issue. And again, how do you help address that problem with someone? So the customer service, they ring up, they're wanting then to bring information to the customer care person who's answering the call. And it suggests, I suppose, the best questions to ask, or pulls out the solutions. So what you're finding is that you've got a faster response then to that, and it guides it along the way. And then on the management side, it does allow to do insights into what's going on around their trends, and it looks for anomaly detection, which is really important. And that's something we all know that AI can be very good at for doing. And so what you're doing is that rather than trying to manage and look at everything, the AI is pulling out issues that you need to look at that could be in that. So they're kind of, so you can see one case has been used in an AR VR environment with AI. Another one is there to help with call center pieces that comes into that. And a really nice example too, where I've seen it also is in the medical field, in transcribing of notes that doctors do. So there's a company called T-Pro, and they do this exceptionally well. They've been very successful in working with companies, or with hospitals and medical professions. And in some of the cases now, that because of the success of the voice recognition, and I think this is also what's quite nice around the AI side, and Hesham touched on it really well earlier on, there's so many different components to AI, and it's picking the right one that fits. So in this case, they're doing a lot around natural language processing, and also kind of documents scanning and looking for insights out of that. But there's kind of three cases where you can use AI technology in different fields, and you've built a business and enhanced it by using that.
Okay, very good. Well, getting down into some of the more specifics then, what are the traits of the ideal company for you in terms of coming to Enterprise Ireland, looking for supports, looking for sort of developments, the next steps? What kind of state of readiness do you really like to see, and is that a mythical beast?
it can be, and I suppose usually if we've different companies at different starts of the journey. So for companies who come to us at the very early stages, what we call our high potential startups. So these are companies who may already have made one sale or very close to making a sale. They've got a prototype that they're able to demonstrate that there's something there with the business. And I think what's very important for this side as well is that there has to have a need. They've identified that there is a need in the market for it, okay? Because sometimes you can come along with a fantastic technology idea. We've seen this already from time to time. Well, what happens is that there's no market demand for it. So if there's no market demand, having the best idea about something, but if no one's going to buy it or anything like that, there's no business in that. And that can be hard sometimes for people to hear. Now, what it can often mean is just that idea itself isn't a business idea, but it could work with something else. So it's again just giving people steers on that. So what we'd always say is, like, from an Enterprise Ireland perspective, is that you're meeting a customer need. You've got a very clear vision of what you want to develop and what you're going to sell, and that you can come to us with a kind of a customer already in place, or you've got a customer lined up for starting off. So that's kind of really what we'd want to see in those areas.
And moving on from that, then, if you have an organization that's perhaps managed to do most of that itself, they might have 2 or 3 customers. The issue of scaling then to really get that commercialization and production stage going. What are the sort of the typical impediments that you see to that, and what are the things that you can do to help organizations begin to scale?
Yeah, so this is often is what we see is where companies, they reach a level of where they plateau after a point in time. And on the tech companies, we've seen it can be quite interesting. Often there's a rush, I suppose, to get your POC out there, get it out to market, and that can work very well. But what can often happen is that there's corners cut to develop to get that your initial MVP out there. And then as they get more and more customers, then they have to scale, and the product that they have doesn't currently do it. They need to re-engineer it and start over to some degree. And that can hold back the scale, their scaling potential of the business. But what we've seen very well, particularly the tech companies who've done this well, is they've adopted great, I suppose, what you would call the right principles for business. So they start off for security by design, for example. And if you're selling into customers, as you grow your business, the bigger customers you reach, they're going to want to know, well, are you doing security? Are you doing privacy? Have you got that all built into your product? So that's an important piece that comes with that. We've also seen companies then who have adopted frameworks where they have a strategy. So for example, someone might use, for example, the LEAP one from McKinsey, where it looks at the opportunities for a business to scale across all aspects of it there. And they really are very aware of every touch point within the business. And also what's very important there is how technology links together to help them to scale. So a good example was, I was recently talking to a company where they had developed their front end of their website. They had automated very well, very sophisticated sales and marketing. They were getting customers ramped up. But then when it came in, they had to transfer their data from that system into their finance system manually. And all of a sudden, there was a backlog starting to build up. And so what we see is with companies who are able to scale is they look at that entire end-to-end process, and they look at where automation can help people along that way. And that really is what drives it. And then the outcome, which is really one that we've seen that really aids the scalability factor, is insights. Companies are very aware. They can do nearly real-time analytics of their cost base. They understand all of the components that goes with it. So that's the key, I think, to on that idea for scaling, is that you're very clear on where you're going with your business. You've streamlined and leaned out your process, and then you've leveraged technology to get the maximum out of that, and that'll all help you scale rapidly.
Okay, well, you mentioned a key point there in terms of frameworks. So maybe if you just briefly give us an outline of the kinds of frameworks that are out there to help people to structure what they're doing.
Yeah, so I mentioned just now with the LEAP from McKinsey, and that one takes a view right across your business, and it gives you an option to score around how each part of your business is able to scale, right? And it has a very nice structured framework that anybody can take down, score themselves along the way on it, and it helps give you an overall view of where you're with that. Another one that's quite interesting, and this one is very much on the manufacturing side, is the Smart Industry Readiness Index. And this was developed by the Singapore Economic Development Board. And what it does is it focuses on opportunities, again, looking at where your business is at, and does a deep dive on it. Like there's a self-assessment piece you can do, but there's also a deep dive which you can do with a series of consultants. And that really adds on value with that, because for now you can structure it. It tests your team. The senior management team have to be involved, driving this and committing to it. And what that gives you out of that is a lot of insights about where you can go next. So using these type of frameworks, and there's others out there, but they put a structure around your business. They help you see where the areas you need to work at, and then you can prioritize that. And you're not just making guesses. You're actually leveraging something to help you structure your business going forward.
Very good. Well, the next key element, I suppose, in many journeys is funding. So, what kind of funding supports and resources are available for organizations at the various stages?
Yeah, so I suppose this is really interesting one obviously from Enterprise Ireland's perspective, where we provide a lot of funding to different companies. What I would often say as well is just even before the pre-funding stages, we often have a lot now we have a new 12 regional technical technology clusters, and there can often be a good place to go and start your conversation and just talk to areas of interest within your business. Again, fleshing out ideas, proof of concepts, trialing that. What we've also then got then to start off in your journey is what we call our innovation voucher. It's a 5,000 fund that allows you to go to any of our technology centres and gateways, which are kind of research areas, where if you've got an idea and you just want to try it out, or you want to explore something, you can leverage that to help you on that. We've also then recently introduced our new digital transformation, or digitalization voucher, sorry, I should say, which is for 9,000, and it helps a company map out a roadmap for over the next 12 months of where they want to go and how digital can help transform their business. So that, again, it's fully funded at 100%, really good offer to help you strategically plan where you want to go. And then on top of that then as well, we have our other funding then, which is our lean offers, which help you streamline your business and then bring tech on top of that. And Amelia touched on that earlier on, where, you know, just putting tech on a bad process doesn't really help on that side. It really is to optimize what you're doing and leverage that. And then for companies who are ready to transform their business in a large way, we have, for example, our business innovation, which helps you deal with process change within a business and funds that. And then we also have our operational excellence one, which drives real transformational change in a business. It supports training, it supports consultancy, and it supports staff times on that. So there's a range of supports that we can have for companies on their way. And then, of course, as well, for our HPSUs, for the startup community, we have our investment program that goes with that, where we do equity investments in companies. And we also provide a range of supports to help companies develop on that. So for startups, we have supports, and for large and established companies, we have supports there as well.
Okay, well, that's very reassuring to hear that there are various supports at different levels there, so that's very encouraging. But okay, well, in the interest of time, I think we might move into our open discussion. So we're going to be joined here by Anthony Macaulay, who is AI Program Manager with Technology Ireland ICT Skillnet. So welcome, Anthony. And Anthony obviously is the creator and content provider for the entire series. So very much his brainchild and pet project. So thank you very much. So I'll ask Hesham and Amelia to come on mic as well and join us for this. Just one little thing, John, I'll ask you to do a small bit of homework there. There's been a request in the chat, just if you could perhaps put into the chat stream the names of the companies that you had mentioned there in terms of the different areas of activity, because there's quite a bit of interest in that. Now we have some questions coming in there already, and please do put more questions in there. We'll address as many as we possibly can. But the first thing I'm going to do is just share the results on the first poll question. When you consider your own organization, where is the greatest demand for the following business skills development? So the largest one there by far is digital transformation, with nearly half of people coming in on that, and then product development behind it. So again, that's an interesting point, that a lot of organizations are probably dealing with digital transformation even as they're embarking on trying to develop AI products and capabilities. So that's quite an interesting metric there. So we'll have another poll as we go, and you'll get an opportunity to share that. But just jumping in immediately, there was a question there for Amelia. How long did it take to get buy-in for the projects from potential clients in Ireland? And there's a secondary question then in terms of what platforms were used in there. But I think that buy-in question is an interesting one, because again, Amelia, you've had that experience of not just developing AI products yourself, but the fact that your technology is a layer that has to be implemented in client products and services as well. So as you mentioned, you have to bring people up to a level to be able to do that as well as your own. So maybe if you want to address that question first.
Yeah, sure, happy to. We find with potential clients, be they in Ireland or worldwide, we're quite a global organization. Our clients come from like mainly the US, I'd say, but all over the world. And we found that they're in various states of readiness. So if I were to categorize them, there are people who've already imagined how voice technology can help them, but they may not have built anything yet that we can plug into. And being a B2B organization, we want them to already maybe have a vision or the materials or the resources ready for building a particular platform that will have voice in it, or else have a way and a vision of actually slotting voice into whatever they already have. So even with these clients, even if they are the perfect client who already envisage how to use it, already have the resources at hand and already have a strategy of how to implement it, we can still work with these clients to have them reimagine how to build their product now that voice is available. So if you're building some kind of game or some kind of educational platform, and you have designed it and built it just from the point of view that somebody will have a keyboard available to them, or somebody will have a touch screen available to them, that just gets wrapped into the design process and becomes part and parcel of what they do. So part of my challenge then talking to those customers is saying, right, well, what if you just scrap that? Let's have a paradigm shift. Imagine you can't have a screen. What can you do now? And usually then the ideas come, and we work with them to try and develop how they build a voice first experience. And this elevates their business far above their competitors because it allows them to offer their clients something that isn't on the market already. So that's a very interesting kind of set of people that we do work with. But then, you know, there are people as well, like large scale educational publishers, for example, who have small teams within their organization who are really, really focused on trying to figure out what the next big thing is that will give them the edge. And when you work with these small organizations within big organizations, they can be really fast moving, really innovative, have loads of resources at their disposal. And it's really a matter of you show them something and then you come back in a month and they already have their prototype built of their platform. But, you know, it is kind of unique because we don't just sell them something and leave them at it. We generally work with the client and we give them advice on how best to design something that is voice first. For example, you know, a lot of children wouldn't be able to press a button that would allow them to speak into a microphone. We'd have to talk to them about ways of designing that so that it's nice and a nice fluid interaction for kids, because it's all about the experience at the end of the day. If the kids aren't having a good experience with their voice first platforms, they're not going to use it again. And then that goes back up the chain. So that's all part of the challenge.
And just the second part of that question was around platforms being used. So if you are able to, do you use cloud platforms such as Azure or AWS, or what's your preferred technology?
Yeah, so when you're building models at scale like us, we build deep neural network technology on an awful lot of data. We've got data in our database from, God, I think it's 193 countries from over 100,000 children. We've got thousands of hours of labeled audio data. And we need to build models in order to make our speech recognition work using this data. And to do that, you need GPUs. You need a lot of GPUs. And therefore, it's, you know, gone are the days when you've got your little server in the cupboard and all the fans on. We need to be scaling up. We also need to not only build the models, but also offer our API service to our clients. So that needs to scale up and down in different regions. So for that reason, we have built on AWS, we have built on Azure as well. And really any system like that offers GPUs in the cloud is absolutely essential for building out this technology.
Very good. Thank you for that. Hesham, there's a question there for you as well, where it says, how do you identify if the business problem needs AI or ML solution or just a common software solution? So I think that's a very common query at the moment, that just the default position might be to just throw AI at it. But how do organizations go about evaluating whether that is an appropriate technology to apply?
The two things we look at, and they are general enough, but they are specific to each business, is number one, inefficiencies, and number two, bad outcomes or quality. So if I'm a business leader in my organization and I want to look at inefficiencies, I basically go and try to look at how can I make things faster, how can I remove waste, less cost, that's inefficiencies in terms of time and cost. And then I look at the quality. Is there a better quality? Now we're looking at the what. Is there a better quality? If I define what is a better quality for my product or my business, I am the best one to do that. Then I go to AI and ask. Then the next stage is, what if I get this, and I will ask the business leader, do you have data? And is your product data centered? And if there is, do you have plenty of them? And if there is, do you have them labeled? Are they being able to label? Are they cohesive? So so these are ingredients to make the AI use case successful. But the business case is what I was looking at in the first place. And everyone are the best to know what inefficiencies, what good or bad outcome for their product.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're getting a little bit tight on time now, so I'll ask our producer Sarah to put up our second poll, and I'll just go to Amelia again. There's a question there in terms of the speech processing again, and whether some kind of calibration was necessary. I think anybody who used voice dictation software, particularly in the past, I think there was Dragon was the one that came over from IBM's Via Voice, that you had to read certain scripts for it to calibrate for your voice. Is that kind of thing necessary anymore? Is it useful? Or is it that you're trying to get beyond that that situation?
Yeah, I think it's, as you say, we're trying to get beyond that situation with this kind of modeling and any kind of modeling. Obviously, the more data, the better, and the more data you can get from the use case that the product is going to be used in, the better. So, I mean, with that ethos in mind, if you had a speech recognizer built only on your voice, that would be amazing, but it's no longer necessary. The amounts of data we have, the computational power, the sophistication of the neural nets that we use now makes it more egalitarian, and you can actually just use a model and it should work in every environment. Now that we have the data available from all different, for example, all different speakers, all different use cases, all different environments, and we have the sophisticated enough model to model that correctly, there's no need to have this onerous calibration step for every individual who uses the technology anymore.
Very good, thank you. Okay, well, the poll metrics are still just coming in there a little bit, so I'll leave that running for a moment. But unfortunately, we're getting down very close to time. Just one question then for John. For the SMEs who are thinking of getting into AI, is there any support for them? So I think through our chat channel there, you'll have seen that John has put in quite a bit of information there. So there's the framework references as well as the funding support. So John, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
So just so, like, if anybody has any queries, like, feel free to reach out. My email is john.durkin@enterprise-ireland.com, and all the links there with the funding will give details there where they can see what's available.
Great. Okay, thank you very much for that. So just sharing the poll results then, when you consider your own organization, where is the greatest demand for the following technical skills development? So data modeling, machine learning, deep learning comes in there quite a bit above the rest, and possibly not surprising. So again, that's a good indication of where people are looking for skills. So that's that is very good to know. So just again, we're getting very close to time. So I'd like to ask Anthony just to come in and tell us a little bit more about where we're going with the rest of the program for this, as this is the third in a series of 6. So Anthony, can I ask you to tell us a little bit more about what's coming up and some of the other areas that are going to be covered?
Well, we'll continue in February. We're going to take a break in January. February, we'll continue with looking at venturing. We're also going to look at the whole aspect of culture, and we'll be looking at how businesses develop that essence of culture that both Hesham and Amelia have talked about. And then, you know, how did they break out? How did they venture? How did they grow and develop? What type of entrepreneurship is taking place in AI? So that will be happening February, March and April, which will conclude the series, and no doubt we'll have some other events as well. Just finally, December 14th, with respect to quantum computing, we've got a webinar which is around advancing enterprises and career paths. The basis of this is that next year the Technology ICT SkillNet will introduce 2 pathways, one for business leaders, one for technology managers within the quantum space, in an effort to build up skills in this developing area. It's going to be a long time developing, but the seeds of growth are there already, and we want to make sure that we're a first mover in that. And therefore, those pathways will be introduced next year for business leaders. As I said, it's called Advancing Enterprises and Career Paths, December the 14th at 8 a.m. And we'll be joined by Accenture and people from the Financial Services Centre to talk about quantum.
Thank you very much for that. So all that's left now is just to wrap up and just to remind you that all the information on upcoming sessions is on ictskillnet.ie. So please do check out there. And as well as that, there's a link to the YouTube channel for a lot of resources in terms of previous webinars, as well as the ones in this series. So as Anthony said, February 16th will be our next one. We're taking a break for January, but again, keep an eye on the website for the information there. So thank you very much to all our panelists this morning, to Amelia, Hesham and John. Thank you to everybody for joining us this morning and for all the questions and comments. And please do check out those resources that have been mentioned in terms of the frameworks and the funding supports that are available. And again, thank you.